Good evening, I am Nazi Suleiman, an Egyptian archaeologist. Today I will take you on a new journey inside one of the ancient Egyptian tombs. Please stay with me. Tomb of Meryra is one of the 6 inscribed tombs which constitute the North Group and bears the number 4. The tombs are carved in the cliff which encloses the site of Tel el-Amarn and of which all entries open roughly southwards. The monument was however never finished, and the funeral shaft hasn't even been dug, one of the numerous mysteries which surround this tomb. By its measurements and its craftsmanship, this tomb counts among the more beautiful and most imposing and indicates the favored status of a very high-ranking person of the Amarnian court. Tomb of Meryra at Tel el-Amarn. Meryra is the only high priest of Aten who is known to us with certainty. The label of a wine jar shows us that he still performed his office in year 16, and therefore probably at the death of Akhenaten in year 17. He remained in office at least 6 years, an extensively sufficient time to finish a tomb, and yet it was not finished. Naturally we don't know why. Meryra was endowed with the following titles: High Priest, lit. Great of the Seers, of the Aten in the House of Aten in Akhenaten. Fan-bearer at the King's right hand. Royal Chancellor. Sole Companion. Hereditary Noble and High Official. One can wonder why this very important title is nevertheless only present once in the tomb. It may be that by elevation to the high priesthood of the Aten he forfeited the privileges and functions of this rank. Location of the tomb, method of construction and present state. The tomb is part of the North Group. It is dug in the cliff which encloses the city of Akhenaten, close to the entry of the main wadi. Present state of the tomb of Meryra, although it is one of the better preserved, is currently in a rather pitiful state, following mutilation especially relating to the royal couple and the Aten. Description of tomb decoration. The entrance. The thicknesses of the east and west walls receive 2 representations of Meryra in sunken relief. Toward the outside, he raises his arms in adoration, reciting the prayers inscribed around him. He only carries the insignia of fan-bearer at the king's right hand, a hecascepter and a large fan, appropriate to his function. West side, here, Meryra sees the rising of the morning sun. 2 short columns, directly in front of his lower torso, identify him. Royal Chancellor. Beloved of his lord. Favorite whom the lord of the 2 lands fostered. High Priest. Fan-bearer at the king's right hand, Meryra. East side, on this side, Meryra sees the setting of the evening sun. Again, 2 short columns identify him. The Royal Chancellor, sole companion of his lord, exact for the king of the south and north, the high priest of the Aten, Meryra. The ceiling, this is divided into 3 rectangles by bands of blue hieroglyphs on a yellow base, and each area is bordered by a classic Egyptian frieze. The antechamber. This is a small square chamber of about 3.60 meters along each side. The east and west walls. The one of the north side of both the west and east walls represents an enormous bouquet of flowers arranged in tiers forming one vertical floral composition. While the south doorposts shows the car touches and titles of the Aten and the royal couple sitting under the rays of the solar disk. The 2 sides of the south entry wall. These are occupied by an upright image of Meryra, this time without his insignia, in adoration reciting the hymn reproduced in blue hieroglyphs next to him. The north wall, periphery of the doorway. On the architrave at the top one finds at each extremity a small representation of a kneeling Meryra, his arms raised. The doorposts on each side include 4 vertical columns of partly colored hieroglyphs on a yellow base carrying some prayers. The first hypostyle hall. This represents an imposing room, whose majesty is accentuated again by the imposed semi-darkness. It is almost square, being about 5 meters end to end and nearly 6 meters across. Although the height varies due to the irregular character of the floor, badly or hastily finished, it is about 4.75 meters at its highest point, highest at the northern end. All walls of the room are decorated in sunken reliefs, which alas have retained only a little of their original color. The columns. The columns are massive, approximately 3.8 meters tall and a meter in diameter, representing an assembly of 8 stems of papyrus with closed heads, bound together by 4 horizontal bands just under the swelling heads. The south wall. The south doorway. Its lintel is identical to those previously met. The doorposts carry some prayers in 3 columns, recited by the kneeling deceased, accompanied by the card touches of Ra Harakti and the royal couple. West part of the south wall. The upper register. This is dedicated to the investiture of Meryra as by the king, accompanied by Queen Nefertiti and Princess Meryra. The bottom of the scene is base level with the window of appearances of the palace. Under the cornice, which acts as a balustrade, an immense semicircular motif resembles an osek necklace. The king leans over this balustrade. The king leans from the window to give or to throw something, whilst he proclaims in front of all, the honor of the office which he confers on his servant Meryra. The lower register. Below the main register is a second register. This forms a sort of dado which introduces the secondary characters who also attended the ceremony, forming a sort of second grouping, but which the artist represented underneath. A group of women singing, beating the tambourine and dancing is a sign of rejoicing. Standard bearers are also present for this moment of jubilation. On the left side, the harnessed chariot waits for Meryra to leave the place of the ceremony. East part of the south wall. Here the scene shows the royal couple making offering to the sun. It is also separated into 2 sub-registers, at the top, the main scene, and at the bottom with the secondary characters. West wall and west part of the north wall. The whole panel is occupied with a large representation of the royal family going toward the temple of Aten. This scene continues on the west part of the north wall. West part of the north wall. This constitutes the continuation of the scenes of the west wall, shown by the fact that the borders do not stop or start again at the corner, with the arrival with the temple. East wall and east part of the north wall. These are occupied by a vast fresco divided into 2 registers, with a detailed representation of the great Aten temple. There are also scenes showing the worship of the sun by the royal couple, as well as Meryra being rewarded by the king, a result of good administration by the civil servant who filled the stores of the temple. Second hypostyle hall. This chamber is approximately 6.0 meters wide at the front, 8.5 meters wide at the rear and 6.5 meters front to back, between entrance and shrine. Its maximum height, down the central axis, is under 5 meters. Shrine. It is about 3.5 meters from front to back, including its entrance, a little over 2 meters wide at the front, inside the entrance, its widest point. Its height varies from 2.5 meters at the front to about 1.0 meters at the rear. Here ends today's video. Hoping to meet in another video tomorrow. Until then, I wish you happy times and good health. Bye.